Hey, what's going on, everybody? Week 2 of the fantasy football season is in the books, which means it's time to start looking at the players you want to add off the waiver wire for week 3. And who better to do that than our very own, the princess of props, Jen Piacenti. Jen, let's start off with the quarterback position, where a certain rookie is finding himself in negative game scripts, and that's actually helping his value.
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful for fantasy football, right? Yeah, we saw CJ Stroud actually kind of come into his own this week, only his second week in the NFL, and I really liked the way he looked. Threw for nearly 400 yards, passed for 2 touchdowns, and he did all of this while missing 3 of his 5 offensive linemen. So it should only get better. Those sacks should decrease. He also didn't throw an interception while completing passes to 8 different receivers. So yes, as you mentioned, negative game scripts often a really positive thing for fantasy football. So Stroud is someone you may just want to stash on your bench for those upcoming bye weeks.
Jordan Love could be out there as well. We told you to pick him up last week. Still available in a lot of leagues. Moving on to the running backs. And have the Colts found their featured back until Jonathan Taylor finally comes back?
Well, it certainly seems so. He played all but one of the snaps. So I don't know how much more evidence we need that the guy to get is Zach Moss, at least until Jonathan Taylor comes back, as you said. But even when Jonathan Taylor comes back, we don't know that he'll even be playing for the Colts. Evan Hall is on the IR. Deion Jackson has been inefficient. And Zach Moss is actually the RB9 heading into Monday Night Football after he had 88 yards on the ground, caught 4 of his 4 targets for 19 yards, and scored a touchdown. So Moss is the back to target there.
Gus Edwards, also available in a lot of leagues, seems to be the lead guy for the Baltimore Ravens for right now. Moving on to the wide receivers, and you like a small guy named Tank.
And as you know, I've liked Tank ever since the preseason. He was consistently beating his coverage in preseason. I just like everything about Tank Dell. He looked phenomenal on Sunday. Once Noah Brown went to the IR, they told us we were going to see more of Tank Dell. But what was interesting is that they moved Robert Woods into the slot, and Dell got some of those outside routes. It worked out really well for the Texans, even though they lost the game. He went for 72 yards and a score. He also played 77% of the snaps, which is 10% more than Nico Collins. He saw 1 more target than Nico Collins. He saw 10. And he also ran 1 more route than Nico Collins. So all of those bode well for Tank Dell down the line. We know CJ Stroud is a young passer, and it's wonderful that he has these young receivers that can grow with him. And I think he and Tank Dell might be a fun connection. I'm definitely picking him up on any of the leagues where I don't already have him. The ones where I already had him, he had a really big day on my bench, and that was a little bit painful that I didn't believe soon enough. But okay, I believe henceforth.
Yeah, also Josh Reynolds in Detroit continues to have value while Jameson Williams is out. Finally, let's move on to the tight end position and a player who is near and dear to our hearts. Of course, Jake Ferguson from our beloved Dallas Cowboys.
So I'm picking Jake Ferguson this week because this is for those of you who are mostly streaming tight ends. If you want someone more long-term, we talked last week about Sam Laporta. We like Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry. I don't know why he isn't at least 50% rostered after he's the tight end 2 for the season. But Jake Ferguson is your streamer for the week because he's facing the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, last season, no team surrendered more fantasy points to the tight end position than the Arizona Cardinals. And so far this year, they've allowed the 3rd most receiving yards to the position. Ferguson caught 3 of his 4 targets on Sunday and scored a touchdown. We know that Dallas does use their tight ends. Listen, CeeDee Lamb doesn't have a touchdown yet. What's going on? Maybe he's not going to get as many. Maybe a few will go to Jake Ferguson, those ones that went to Dalton Schultz. I don't know. Don't panic, CeeDee Lamb. Fantasy managers. He'll be fine.
I'm all in.
But let's think about streaming Ferguson this week.
Yeah, in fact, a little teaser to start him and sit him. Ferguson might be a start this week. So, Jen, you're the best. Thank you so much for giving us those players. And she's got an extensive list of players to pick up off the waiver wire. You can find it over at si.com/fantasy. Make sure you check it out. And make sure you check out all of si.com's fantasy content. We're here to help you win a championship.